What the fuck is up? Now I know you done heard the news, but you haven't heard the higher point of view. Higher point of view here to discuss this Jimmy Butler trade. Buckets has been traded. Bro, you finally getting what the fuck you wanted. You're in a good situation. Let's see what you can do with it. Let's go over these numbers first. Bowl's already packed. Phantom OG, by the way. So let's go over these finances real quick. Jimmy Butler's set to make $19 million this year, $20 million next year. Dario Saric, he's making $2.5 million this year, $3.5 million next year. Robert Covington is making $10 million this year and $11 million next year. So it adds up to $27 million for Saric and Covington's contracts put together. $39 million for the next 2 years Jimmy Butler is slated to get. And also remember, he's an unrestricted free agent in 2020, so they're going to be looking to re-up and give him a new deal, not this year, but probably next year to lock him up. Hoping that this thing works. So the numbers are out the way. It kind of makes sense. They threw in two other players, I think, to make it even make more sense, but they're not major factors in this. But it is Justin Patton going with Jimmy Butler, and then you also got Jared Bayless going with Saric and Covington. So we're gonna talk about buckets first. He is a star, 29 years old, so this is the best Jimmy Butler you're gonna get. He's in his prime. Prime years supposedly are what, 27 to 31, something like that. So you're gonna get the best version of Jimmy Butler right now. And let's look at his numbers. Albeit he was disgruntled, and he played, I believe, I don't know exactly how many games he played, but he missed a few games this year. But when he did play, he averaged 21, 5, and 4. Pretty damn good numbers. He's shooting threes at a better rate than we've seen him at, probably the highest in his career. It's only been a couple of games, but you can tell he's ready to go, and he's improved, and he's basically showing. And he played marquee games. He played the Lakers. He played the games he needed to broadcast his talents to, potential trade destinations, and Philadelphia got him. So his best year, he averaged 24, 5, and 6 with 2 steals. That was his last year in Chicago. So like I said, right now he was averaging 21, 5, and 4. So if he could duplicate that in Philly, which he should do a lot more. I'm thinking back to his last year in Chicago, of the kind of year he's going to have once everything settles down in Philadelphia, which is 24, 5, and 6, and solid defense. And it's possible that he can average more than that, but we got to see what pecking order Coach Brett Brown is going to do things in. Now, speaking of that, you got Joel Embiid over there averaging 27, 13, and 3. Now, we don't want to mess that up, so I'm not sure how Brett Brown's going to do this. We know Ben Simmons is he's going to be the third option, which he should be. He's having a good year, averaging 15, 9, and 7. He'll be okay in that third row because, he doesn't have a jump shot right now. He's going to work on that. So we got Jimmy and Embiid. We're going to have to figure that out, how they mesh. But who's going to be the first option? That's what we need to know. Shaq would, just because you average more points doesn't mean you'll be the first option. There are times where Shaq averaged around 33, Kobe averaged 24, but who's going to close the game. So is Jimmy going to be the closer? Is he going to be the main guy? Is he going to defer to Joel? He is a star. He's older than both of them, so we'll see how that works out. One thing we got to keep our eyes on. Reportedly, the first time, when Jimmy left Chicago, there were issues between him and Derrick Rose, younger player. Now, reportedly, the whole reason he's leaving the Timberwolves are, him being confrontational with, younger players. Embiid and Simmons are both young. This is the same kind of generational gap we're dealing with. I just hope these kids are, a little different, and I do hope it works out for Butler, because he's gonna be on his last string. Motherfuckers ain't gonna want to fuck with him after this. He knows that this is his deal, and he's smart, so he's going to get it together. And he might have to change up a little bit of the way of the things he does, because it hasn't worked twice, and you're dealing with the same kind of ages with these players. They are different people, but certain ways you gotta talk to these kids nowadays. It's a little different. He's from a generation before this generation, and just 4 years apart would make a big difference as far as how people see things. His main issue with Kat and Andrew was like, I see what you guys are capable of. I know what I'm capable of. I'm trying to win now. I don't think you guys are trying to win as bad as I am. You guys are just worried about your numbers, and you're just not working hard enough. So keep that thought. Let's also remember last year, Philadelphia, they fired their GM, Brian Colangelo, I think his name is. They fired him because he basically used 5 burner accounts, Twitter accounts, to talk bad about certain players on the team. And B was one of them that always came up. He didn't talk about Ben because he drafted Ben, so he kept him out of that. But he was basically doing the same thing that Jimmy was doing to Kat and Andrew. He's like, he's a little too playful. I don't know how bad he wants it. So that's what he was saying, and he ended up getting fired for that, because you shouldn't be, talking about your players like that, at least not in the public. And yeah, that's how it went bad for him. So keep that in mind, man. Butler, I don't see him changing as a person no time soon. So hey, if he calls it how he sees it. If he sees something he doesn't like, he's gonna say it. And I hope they're able to handle it in Philadelphia a little more, which they should, because they should have thicker skin. The media is a lot tougher over there. But yeah, they get the star that they wanted. I don't know what Brett Brown's going to do at the 4. They did miss out on 2 big bodies. But again, they got the star they wanted, and it's time to see if they can mesh. It seems that you need a big 3 nowadays to compete for a championship. Philly were falling behind at the time before this trade. Everybody thought that they'd be a lot better than they were coming into this year. People thought they'd be a lot better last year. I didn't think they would get bounced out that early, especially by a Boston team who were limited because they didn't have all of their players. But back onto this trade, Butler 29, they get a star. Now it's time to try to see how you're gonna make this work over in Philly, and I give them an A for the deal. They got what they wanted, especially because last year they were not last year, this year they were after LeBron tough, but he didn't even give them a sit-down interview. So who knows what. And then Kawhi was also high on their sweepstakes to get him. So I don't know how high Kawhi had them on his list. So they had to do something. They had to make a move, and they got Butler. So good shit for them. Now let's see how it works out. It should work out. They should be able to figure it out, because Jimmy should know at this point, this is probably going to be the last team he's going to be on, at least as the main focal point. So you have that. Next, we're going to discuss what they gave up as far as Philadelphia. They gave up 2 big bodies. Saric, 6'10", he averaged 11, 6, and 2. His best year with Philadelphia was last year, where he averaged, or the year before, he averaged 14, 6, and 2. So he did decline this year. There was something happening with chemistry, but Embiid supposedly said that they were getting it together at this point. He felt that this whole team was starting to get better and understand, but they had to make that move. But yeah, he's ascending. He's only 24, not even in his prime yet. So him and Covington. Covington's 27. He's a little closer to his prime, but these are the best years you're still going to get out of these 2. So I think it's a good pickup for Thibodeau. He has 2 players he could just plug into the lineup right now, 2 starters. But the question about Saric is, are you going to be this 3rd option now? We know Kat and Wiggins are 1 and 2. Are you going to be this 3rd option? You have the ability to, I believe, very versatile. And to be a 3rd option, I don't think that should be hard to do on this team. So we should see his numbers go up definitely from this year, 11, 6, and 2. Again, his best year was 14, 6, and 2. let's see if he could get it 16, average 16 to 18 points. That's what I think they're going to need out of him for this thing to be successful. So yeah, can he be that third option? As far as Covington, he's a plug-and-play player, 3-and-D, first team all defensive player of the year. I mean, you know what the fuck I'm trying to say. First team all defense, yeah. What I think they're going to need from him is a little more offense. He averaged 11, 5, and 1. His best year he had with them, he averaged 12, 5, and 1. So that's basically how much he's going to be hovering around. But they're going to need a little more from him to make this work. And I think they can get more from him because, again, he is ascending. And again, he's already a good defender. And now he can work more on his offense to help this team out. Now, we just talked about the star thing for Philadelphia. They got their star. The other team, they didn't get any stars back. That's why I think they lost this deal. And just because they lost the deal doesn't mean it's going to work out for them. I mean, I would grade this trade A for Philadelphia. You know, now they legit have no excuses. They could do a couple of fill-ins. You know, they need a couple more role players, and they missing a big body because they got rid of 2 guys. So they can do that, but I think they should be able to do that. But they got the big issues over with. The process should now be finished. The process should now be finished. Fultz needs to continue to develop, or they need to figure out what they're going to do with him. Back to the Timberwolves. They're younger. They're ascending, and a big thing you have to consider is chemistry. The chemistry wasn't going to get any better at all for Minnesota, so they had to do what they had to do. They had to get rid of Jimmy Butler. They don't get a star in return, but they get 2 solid role players who are ascending, who can get better. But again, are you ever going to go for that third star, or are you just going to fill in with other good players? I don't see a third star coming to Minnesota anytime soon. So they're going to lock up Cat, and Wiggins is already locked up, I believe. And then just put some role players around them. I don't even think they're looking for that third star, which you need to compete for a championship nowadays in this league. So now let's talk about Karl Anthony Towns. You got what you wanted, bro. Now it's your team. You have nothing to worry about. Number 1 pick. We want you to go back to what you were your rookie year. You've declined since then, not a lot, but you know, we were expecting more from you. Now it's all yours, bro. Do what you need to do. Show them that you can be, you know, on the same level as Anthony Davis, because that's how people were looking at you. Not quite as much anymore. So it's your time to shine now, and same thing for you, Drew Wiggins. It's time for you to pick it up. You definitely declined since Butler came, and now he's gone. Let's see what you can do with it. We want to see those numbers that you had a couple years ago, and we want to see better numbers than those. But let's give Cat his respect. In the games that Jimmy Butler did not play, he averaged 25, 12, and 2 blocks. So you can't be mad at that. He'll probably average more when he's totally off the team. So give that to Cat. Wiggins, he averaged 17, 3, and 2. And yeah, we're going to need to see a lot more than that. His career average is 19. He's not even hitting that at this point. So we're going to need to see a lot more from Wiggins and Cat for this to work for Thibodeau. But Thibodeau's he's a good coach. He might run his players to death, but he's a good coach. And as far as the X's and O's, he will figure this out. Playoff team, I don't know. They're kind of pushing it. I think they need a little more, but yeah, time for Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns to totally step it up. But that is how I see it. If I'm going to give a grade, I'll give Philadelphia an A because they get their star. The process should be completed. Now they just have to develop Fultz still, get a couple of other fill-ins, big body here and maybe a little offense here, but the process should be complete. And then for Minnesota, it's something that they had to do, so you have to consider that. they get a B. Just because they lose the trade doesn't mean that it didn't work out good for them. Chemistry is a big thing in this game, and it just wasn't going to work at all with these three together. Buckets is out of there. That's a less of a headache now. We can get this going. And again, let's see if with that too. I don't know if Derrick Rose kind of helped this because he's been playing awesome. I don't know if he could keep it up. It remains to be seen. But if he plays at that level, they could possibly be a playoff team. If Rose gets it together and then these two become what I said they should be doing as far as Sarge and Covington, it should work out. But even with that, man, it's tough in the West. I don't know if they'll even get a 6 or 7 seed. I mean a 7th or 8th seed. So we'll see. This shit got me going right now. It's fire. I'm about to finish it up. Got me stuttering and shit. But yeah, that's how I see it. Until next time, stay high.
Subscribe, bastards.